Okay. And here we go. We're starting streaming. I was going to ride my motorcycle today because it's supposed to be up almost to the 50s, but it snowed. Oops. Where's the hairstylist when I need him? I can't even tell what's going on this morning. Let's fluff it up a little bit. We'll chop this off. You know that. Everybody knows. I hate to think about the people that tune in just a little after I finish and they get to see all this dopey stuff before I can trim it off. Hair's getting a little long because, we're not going to the barber. I don't even know if the barber's open. I saw gas at $1.59 today. Whew, I haven't seen that since I think I was in high school. Anyway, I'm looking good and made it through the weekend. We baked bread and we made sweet potato chips, which I've never done. And we did a lot of interesting cooking. And I helped my wife, which was interesting. So, one friend told me, his wife said, thank God for the coronavirus, which is a kind of a neat perspective, I think. Cooking. Okay, the sound is working. I don't know where the heck Periscope is right now. But let's go over to YouTube and see if that's working. I don't know how to find YouTube. Are we on here anywhere? Yeah, there it is live now. Okay, for those of you who don't know, I'm switching over to... There it is. Okay, so we got it going. And if you want to comment over on YouTube, you can. And there is a window here somewhere that I set up last time that has Periscope, just Periscope in it. There it is. Okay, so there you go, and it should be working. What do you know? That's not it. It says live now. Did I not update? No, that's last time. I don't know. Okay, so that's from a week ago. That's from last week. There we go. There it is on YouTube. Okay, so YouTube is active and Periscope is dead, which is sort of par for the course. Sorry for all this chit-chat. It always takes me a little bit to get rolling here. And it doesn't show anything at all. Okay, well, let's go dive in, right? Let's go dive in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglash for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Okay, there it is on Periscope. So we'll look for your comments and see if anybody dropped in. I can see stuff, and I see somebody's out there. So that's good. Always good to have an audience, but, you watch it. Most people watch it on delay, I've found, which is fine. So let's go over here to the news, the big news. Okay, the Restaurant Coalition launches the Great American Takeout. So they're encouraging people tomorrow to go order out, for lunch at business. If you're out at your office, which I am because I have this spiffy studio and it keeps me from going nuts, although I did stay home over the weekend. And so Tuesday, I'm planning to get some Chinese and take it home to my wife. I heard a couple of doctors talking about how it's pretty safe because, restaurants have standards of cleanliness and cooking kills all this stuff. If you're worried about the person throwing it in a bag, well, wear gloves when you pick it up and then open it and take it out and dump it right into a pot, and you can reheat it that way. So that's a way to do it. I'm not all that worried about it. I was going to do a bunch of stuff on the death rate. The good news is that Washington State, I talked to my friend Dr. Dan on Friday, and he said, yeah, things are getting a little bit stretched out there. But the good news is it seems to be peaking in the rate, and that's what we're looking for. Okay, and we're also noting that South Korea, which we think has pretty good data, and they had massive testing, has really plateaued. So we're not sure about this data. I heard that like 23 million cell phones went dark. So it could be, instead of 2,000 cases, it could be 2 million. But, China has a lot of people, and people don't realize 200,000 people a month die in the U.S. from something. And so there's a lot of deaths to go around. Don't take that for... Okay, Charmin plant in Pennsylvania is still open because toilet paper is deemed life-sustaining. And I will just let you think about that. But how did humanity get to the 1880s when the patent for toilet paper was first filed? I don't know. I did the history of the history of toilet paper a couple days ago. Okay, this one is vitally important. I want you to pay some attention to this, and then we'll get on to Mark Ritson. Tips on how to be a good remote worker. And this is a pretty good article from Christina. Be a good teammate. Check in with one another. That's been really important. And I've done more video conferencing. We use Microsoft Team, I think, on Friday. We used Zoom on Thursday. We used Hangouts and Google Duo over the weekend, and we used Skype on Tuesday. So there's plenty of ways to do it. We started doing it back in the late 90s with Yahoo Messenger from Russia with our team. So we've been doing remote. It was interesting because I had someone working for me, my IT person, who wanted to move to Russia. And I called his pastor who was a friend of mine. And I said, what can I do to keep him here? Because it's, we got a big project we got to do and stuff. And the pastor said, well, why can't he work remote? And I thought, okay. So what we did, now you don't have a chance to do this now, but you can think about it, as we go forward. What we did was we did a test of a couple of months. I said, your job is to work remote and see how it goes. And while we still have you here, and then if it goes okay, I think we gave him 2 or 3 months, and then you can move away to Moscow, which he did. And it went really well. And in fact, it went better in Moscow because he really liked to work from like 7 p.m. to like 7 a.m. That was his normal work day. And so when he was in Milwaukee, we never found him. I would come in the morning and the computer was dead, and I would try to get a hold of him, and you couldn't until 7 at night. And he'd say, well, try this. And so I'd try this the next day, and I couldn't get a hold of him, and then, not till the next day. And so any little problem would go 3, 4, 5 days. But once he moved to Moscow, then he was 7 or 8 hours east of us. So he was starting at 7 p.m., which was about, 10 a.m. for us. So it worked out really well. Okay, so that's the first point. Be accountable. Set daily and weekly goals. Well, I'm not a big goal setter, but if you do the first one, check in regularly, then you can adjust every day. So we do that every day. Try to check in. Try sticking to your regular schedule. This thing keeps me on a regular schedule, so that's good. Even though I'm out here, but sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm on the road. Stay positive and thankful. I think that's one of the most important things you can do right now. Be glad that your health and the ability to continue to work you still have. And, the truth is that most people, back to those statistics, 90% roundabouts who think they have the coronavirus test negative. So the communicability seems to be lower than originally estimated, and the death rate now is below 1% in the U.S. Italy is like up by 8%, but Germany is down by 0.3% or 0.2%. Austria, right next door from Italy, is 0.23%. So, and as we continue to test, what happens is every flu does this. It goes down. Okay, but I've got my own tips, okay? First is aim the camera, okay? Remember, it might be on even though you're screen sharing. So I've seen a lot of people in these conference videos, they're going up, they think that they're off camera because somebody else is presenting, and they're watching the screen share and they're not seeing themselves on there, but the other people might see themselves. And so when you step away for coffee or to go walk your dog or to go get your takeout pizza, people might see that you're gone, which isn't a bad thing. Okay, the other thing is I highly recommend keeping the camera, within your head. Like yesterday, I saw somebody whose camera was aimed like this. That takes away some of the personal contact. And also I see him like this, down here like this. Okay, try to get your head in it. Just do that before you set it up, right? I have mine aiming right over my screen. So my screen is right below this little line right there. Very professional. Good to get some lights. I've had people forget, and then they start doing stuff, like up their nose and bad things that and it's zoomed right in. So watch out for that. Remember, think church. Think you're in church. Keep your hands down and keep the camera right here. I had another one where a guy was like, his fly was open and he's kind of like, and he's showing him his whole body. No, that's a bad mistake. If you're going to do that, don't itch. But if you do itch, keep that camera. Keep it out of view. Okay, look your best, not awful. So I got this handy. This is the world's best nose hair trimmer. Okay, I got this from Hammacher Schlemmer, and it really is a good one. And it uses AA or AAA battery, and it goes forever. And get that. See that? All clean. See that? You got to do that every couple days. or it can be bad. Mind the mute, okay? Because a lot of times you see people, and it doesn't connect with people, and they get that you don't get what's going on and you're low tech, especially if you're old and you have a gray beard or something. People will right away, confirmation bias says that guy's clueless, even though he might have been on chats since the 80s, which he was. Okay, watch out for get a heart. Watch out for multitasking. Oh, I'm the worst. Right now, no windows open except relevant windows to my. You can watch your stock ticker. I bought stocks, last week. I told you to buy stocks. Mine are up a couple percent. And this isn't even, wait. You just wait. Buckle up. It's going to go. You're not going to believe it. It's going to go up like you've never seen. So, this is not financial advice. I don't have a clue. Okay, so let's go over to Mark Ritson. Now, I'm just trying to give you a little bit of smiles today, This may turn into marketing comedy instead of marketing news. It might be better. Who knows? So Mark Ritson talks about how in 1989 he just went to the nearest university and he came to study marketing, and he was studying marketing scholars. No, he said, I was a bad student from the start. My real passion was drinking. Yeah, me too. Anyway, but then I got saved, literally like knocked off the horse, and luckily probably saved my life. Because I grew up sailing sailboats where the minimum drinking age did not exist, right? And nobody guarded the half barrel at the yacht club. China. So he was in school while Tiananmen Square happened, the Berlin Wall fell, the beginning of the end of apartheid, and the Velvet Revolution all happened being right there in his first semester. And he said, he'd been wondering what it would be like when, he read about World War II and World War I, and he thought, well, I wonder what it would be like to live through that. And he found out, because he basically paid absolutely no attention. He was busy with the minutiae of everyday life, and he didn't notice that any of it was going on. And a lot of people are in that bucket right now. They're home like we were this weekend. We did lots of video conferencing, the babies crawling around. It's a lot of fun. And so, I found out, one story I read, I've lived through like 6 pandemics. The worst of it was 1957. And I was 2 years old, and it killed babies, like a lot of babies. I've also survived scarlet fever, chickenpox, measles, encephalitis, which is a 50% death rate. But it does affect your brain lifelong, I think. It's like, yeah, come on, it's the flu. Sorry, I don't mean to say that. I know it sounds like I'm an idiot, but I'm a marketing guy. So the myopic requirements of everyday life obscure the gargantuan shift, but the minutia still obscures the gargantuan. Okay, so you're trying to get, you're just trying to get dinner made with the weird stuff that you bought because it was all they had. And he says his point is we need to market now for the good of mankind. And a good segue into leadership. Some of the perfume makers in France are making sanitizers, because perfume is basically a bottle of alcohol with some scent. I wonder if it smells like Christian Dior. Wouldn't that be something? That could be a collectible. There's an idea for you, Mark. Anyway, they're making hand sanitizers because it's just alcohol with a like a gel agent in it. It's actually like sterno. That's where it came from. Okay, so we need leadership, he says, and you see half-wits in a tank top saying that leadership is empathy, emotional intelligence, social influence, charisma, and generosity. He says that is not what leadership is about. Here's what leadership is about: making the best possible decision, then sticking with it. And I would say a caveat there, or changing it with equal force, okay, as the conditions change. That's the challenge of leadership. Leadership is by definition setting a course and going. You know, I was a sailor, and a friend of mine and we would switch because we were on different lakes, and one would be a crew and one would be a skipper. And what we decided was that as crew, we would shut up and do what the what the skipper said, which was hard for us because we were both skippers. You know, skippers crewing for other skippers is not easy. And so we made this decision to shut up and go with whatever the other one said when they were at the tiller. And what was interesting was, you know, Fred set up the boat a little differently. He liked it to heel a little more than I did. And it was partly because my boat had a concave hull, because over time the center had pulled up and it was warped and it was wood. So I could sail mine flatter, and it was really good in light wind, and it was really good in hurricanes because it would flex so much that it didn't care. But anyway, so he had a different way of setting it up, and I said, I'm not going to tell him what to do. I'm going to do what he says. Well, we won every race we sailed together on both lakes, which is rare because the wind is random and the sailboats are all about the same. So anyway, leaders are about making a call. Okay, and if you noticed in the United States, when one of our leaders anyway, we won't name names, said we're not gonna accept flights, and everybody said that's racist. You can't stop the flights from just one country or another. Well, it turned out to be a pretty smart idea, but he was criticized for that, and then he was criticized for not doing more sooner. And that's what happens to leaders. I've been the last man standing, and you get criticized from both directions. And you think, where were these people when we needed to make a decision? So do something. And Mark Ritson says, do some marketing. Marks and Spencer manufactured clothing, ration clothing. And most of you don't know that anymore. I had a Marks and Spencer purple sweater for decades. It was great. Anyway, and he calls up Virgin Atlantic, who apparently isn't doing much for their employees, and Richard Branson, is worth about $300 billion. And so, why don't you pay some people £500 a week, pay those employees? I'm not going to criticize Richard Branson. It's not, my place. But whatever you can do to keep people working, market like crazy. Think of something, like we talked about Friday. Think about what you can still offer of value, and then do it. And then do it with gusto and enthusiasm. And you have more resources at your fingertip than any human has ever had in the history of the world. Right there at your desk. You can broadcast, you can write, you can think, you can research. Think, okay? And I am working on that patent. Probably not a promotion time. No amount of hot deals and clever sales activation can stimulate a market that's currently terrified, locked inside their homes, and unsure of their future. But there's something. There's something that you have. There's an opportunity to make it valuable. Keep the brand light burning, because the cost of stuffing it out for the rest of 2020 and then trying to reignite it is gigantic. And that was some great thoughts from Mark Ritson. Okay, so like and share. Your friends will think you're smart. I'm John Miglosh. Have a great day. Bye-bye.